Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Ryan's Trains. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend and an amazing Friday. Today's video we're going to be doing is the Stevens Point Train Show. I'll be talking about what cars that I got and showing you some videos of at the show and some rail fanning videos up in Stevens Point and an actual steam engine that sits by the Stevens Point yard in Wisconsin. And I'll be giving history about that steam locomotive up there. But before we get into all that, let's get into the freight cars that I got first. So the first car I'll be showing you is this Milwaukee Road bulkhead flat car with logs made by MTH. This car is probably one of my favorite cars because how it stands out and with all these big braces on the side right here, if you can see, this car really stands out. And plus, this car was made by MTH, and when you unpackage the box of this car, it will come with a bunch of logs, but the logs won't be glued down to the flatbed. And there's a little cubby inside the box where you find is a package with a spring and a bunch of chains right here, and you have to get these over the logs to make them stay and hook on here to each side of the flat car. And I really love this car. I hope MTH comes out with more of these, like a set, because this will work perfect with my Milwaukee Road log train that I'm making for for the layout and for the railroad. And I'll be giving you the item number of this car, which the item number of this car is 20-98146. And this car was just amazing. I did not find this car when I was at the show in the first beginning, but before we were leaving, I found this car on the side where the HO stuff is, and I had to get this car because I really wanted to find one of these cars. I know there was some on trains.com, but I was looking for one at a cheaper price, and I did find one at a cheaper price. And this car it rolls nice and everything. The logs and everything just stand out with this Milwaukee Road bulkhead flat car. So now let's go on to the next freight car that I got at the show. So here we got a Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton boxcar made from Lionel. This was actually another car that I found that was actually I've been looking for a while, and to go with my Grand Trunk and Western train that I've been growing. And this car I actually really love with all the DT&I stuff. This is actually one of Lionel's run-of-the-mill 50-foot box cars or I think they're 50-foot, that are always been reproduced in Lionel's range. But this is actually an older model of these box cars, and because the inside of this box car, let me show you inside. The inside opens up to have auto frames inside of it. And this actually I really liked it because my Grand Trunk train is supposed to go to Detroit, and because as Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton cars, this made it look very nice with my Grand Trunk train. And this car is just very amazing. I love the pink color on it and everything. It will match unique with all the other Grand Trunk, with all the other, not I keep saying Grand Trunk lot, but with all the other DT&I stuff. So it will just work out perfect with all the other freight trains I've been working with on the layout. And it will just work very perfect because it's a pink box car. And I looked up some pictures to try to find if it's actually a prototypical, but I only found the 60-foot auto box cars, and that says the DT&I on it, which I'm looking to get one of those. And the other DT&I cars that were weathered, but I'm trying to like mix it up with like Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton cars, Grand Trunk and Western cars, and other cars that the Grand Trunk and Western, that like the other cars that would fit with the Grand Trunk and Western, that the Grand Trunk like bought out some railroad and had these like cars that would work perfect with the DT&I. And I am looking for on my layout to go with a DT&I DT&I diesel engine, even though Lionel made that DT&I Berkshire, but that wouldn't work with this modern DT&I train that I'm building. But I really like the DT&I because it's Henry Ford's railroad, and I learned about that, and I really liked it because I am a Ford guy, and made by Henry Ford of this railroad. It's very interesting to find out about this railroad, and this will look very nice with the Grand Trunk and Western train. But now let's talk about the two vehicles that I got for the layout. So here's the first vehicle I got for a layout. This is a 1937 Packard automobile, and this vehicle just really stands out on the layout. I put it over by the station because I wanted to make a parking lot bunch of cars in the Lakewood station, but this car just stands out on the layout. This car has so many cool details with them. I think it's a, let me see. of the hood ornament and everything of this Packard vehicle, and it's just very, very, very awesome. The vehicle does move. It's got a bunch of other details, and it says 1937 on which it was built, Packard, and the company that made it, and just show you a bunch of detail on this vehicle. This thing is just very amazing. I know this layout it like has like I run like modern diesels and stuff, and like I have a bunch of like old vehicles. I just like collecting old vehicles more than modern vehicles. Like there'll be some modern vehicles that I like to collect, but for me, I just like collecting older vehicles because older vehicles like from like the 50s, the 60s, and like the 30s just stand out more on layouts because there's a unique resemblance with these cars next to like running a steam locomotive. It just really makes the layout stand out more of an older town and like a modern town. And I just like these old vehicles a lot. So let's now get into the next vehicle that I got. Now here we have is a 1930 Chevy delivery truck, and you're probably wondering, Ryan, why did you get this pickup, this Chevy delivery truck? Well, because I have a bunch of beer cars that are in the steam era version, and I have an ice house. Well, this car says Budweiser on it, and actually this car was made by Ertl. And if you know, Ertl made a lot of cool stuff back then. If you're Thomas fans, you know that the old Ertl Thomas stuff. Ertl made those, and you know if Ertl they made a bunch of those big old like kind of like the Tonka trucks, but Ertl made different kinds of like trucks, like for kids and for like different scales. In this one, I'm a big fan of Ertl from making cool stuff back then. And this car just stands out with the ice house, and I'll be showing you pictures in the top right corner over which part of the screen it is of the Ertl truck standing, well, not really sitting by the ice house and with all the beer cars. And this car is just very good with detail. In front, you could see the front of the grill of the motor. Well, not really the motor, the grill of the truck. And just the whole logo right here that says the I can't really say that name right there, but it says the Budweiser and the whole logo right here. And it's the Budweiser truck. And this thing is just very, very detailed looking truck right here. And that's why I really wanted to get this truck. And this truck is just very, very amazing truck. And it just stands out more with the layout and with by sitting by the ice house because it's what its main purpose is to sit by the ice house and look like it's loading up with beer and getting ice to pack all the beer around inside to keep the beer nice and fresh to when it delivers to town and to spread nice cold brews around the town. And now we're going to be talking about the Stevens Point train show, and I got a bunch of videos at the show and what happened there. So the Stevens Point train show was really, really fun. Got to meet a lot of cool vendors there and a lot of cool train layouts there. If you could see right now, a Milwaukee Road freight train passing through this crossing section. It was a really, really nice detailed HO layout. You can see all the freight cars and stuff that are running by. Just very, 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 very nice layout. And all other things part of the layouts that I all seen there. A bunch of historical societies that were there to donate stuff to preserve railroad artifacts. People selling railroad artifacts there and pictures of trains and rail fanning. Right here can be seen as a Soo Line O gauge train coming through right now. And this is one of the engines I've been looking for. Both of these are MTH, and you can see there's a Christmas person on there. I know I think it's the bunny up there. And these are for like kids to run around and watch the trains go by. So this is very fun to watch and film these trains going by. You can see Thomas is over there and a bunch of Soo Line stuff. This layout is probably one of my favorites, seeing the Soo Line stuff, and you got a DPU right there. Very, very nice. You can see how there's Soo Line stuff running around. It was just a very fun time at the show. Got to go to Stevens Point, just very fun. I've never been to Stevens Point. This was just a fun time seeing this all new person. And right here we got is another Soo Line GP9W coming up through the curve of this crossing section right here. And this layout's actually one of my favorites because she got multiple trains running around in this section of the line. And very, very cool right here. Very, very nice. Like, I highly recommend everyone to go to Stevens Point sometime to see the trains and this train show, the train show that happens. You ever go to your favorite train shows? Train shows are just fun to meet people, meet your friends and stuff. Just very, very, very fun. So you can see all this. Like, I just love this section of the crossing. There's a switch track over there. This train goes through, and it's just Very, 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 very amazing. So before we get into that, we're going to be talking about the rail fanning, what I did up in Stevens Point. But before we do, I got to show a picture of the pictures at the show. So this layout I want to talk about is this old guy who made this whole about snow servicing on the railroads. All this whole layout is all powder, and it's all turned on cranks. So what happens is that he turns his crank, and this little HO snowplow comes out, and the rotary snowplow blows snow actually out the side of the chute. And this is actually really cool. This old guy was telling me he worked on this for so much, and he was showing this around with his daughter. I should say his probably his niece or his granddaughter, and this was just very amazing. I have never seen this in my entire life, but this just shows how much the community of HO and trains, and it just shows a lot of love put into this. And I just want to dedicate to this person right here who made this beautiful layout. So now let's talk on to the rail fanning. So here we got two SD70s ACEs sitting in the Stevens Point yard and the service track right here in the CN yard at Stevens Point. These two locomotives are just amazing, and I really want to find one of these in O gauge form to run it with my CN freight train. But these locomotives are very nice. Let's now talk about the Soo Line. So here we have Soo Line Locomotive 2713. It was built in May of 1911 by the American Locomotive Company in Schenectady, New York. It was constructed and its build number is 497096. This locomotive developed 180 pounds of boiler pressure and had 150 pounds of tracted effort, and it had 75-inch drivers. This was the last steam locomotive used on the Plummer Line of 1955, and since has been donated to Stevens Point, Wisconsin, since 1957. This locomotive is just very amazing. This is a Soo Line Pacific class steam locomotive, which was used in the Laker division, pulling passenger cars from Duluth into the windy cities of Chicago. And now you can see there's a nice, beautiful caboose with the Soo Line, and it's got a nicely protected cover on it to protect the engine from any snow on top of it, and it's very nicely and tucked away and next to the Stevens Point yard. So I highly go check out and visit Soo Line 2713. There is a website called the Friends of the Soo Line 2713, which you can go donate, like what I did, to help preserve the locomotive and of its natural history. So heading out of Stevens Point yard, we got a CN freight train carrying twin Husky stack freight cars coming through. This is probably going to be a very long video of this freight train coming through, and it was very cold, so I'll let you guys enjoy this massive freight train going by. And just an FYI, Stevens Point is one of the biggest yards in Wisconsin. The biggest freight trains that a CN will pull out through that would head down to Chicago and other places around in Wisconsin. And the Stevens Point yard was once the Wisconsin Central yard, just a little history out there. So this is one of the biggest active rail yards that we have down in Wisconsin. So I hope you guys enjoy this little history right here. It's just amazing that these CN ES44s are pulling this long, massive freight train. There's only one in the front and there's one in the back that's pushing this train. This train was highballing out the yard once it got a full clear signal. And you can see here comes the back engine pushing along. Hope you guys enjoyed this awesome rail fanning video. And now I bet you guys want to see these freight cars running behind my trains on the layout. We'll be using the Wisconsin Central SD45, pulling with these Milwaukee Road bulkhead flat car, and the Detroit Toledo Ironton freight car. So I hope you guys enjoy this awesome video of my trains running around the layout. Well, thank you guys for coming around and watching this amazing video of the Stevens Point train show. Hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed everything I got and all the other videos that were put into this big compilation of the train show. But I hope you guys have an amazing weekend out there. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.